I know how hard it will be to bring about change in this country. I know how hard it's going to be to deliver on universal health care. If it was easy, it would have already been done. I know how difficult it will be to bring about a sensible energy policy in this country. ExxonMobil made $11 billion this past quarter. They don't want to give up their profits easily. I know how hard it will be to alleviate poverty in places like inner city Milwaukee or the south side of Chicago. That poverty is built up over generations, over centuries. Same thing in the reservations. There's a long history there that we've never fully accounted for.
They told us a long time ago that this was sacred land. And the sacrifice zones of the pollution-based economy have to become the sacred zones in the new clean and green economy. Those communities that were locked out of the pollution-based economy and pushed down by the pollution-based economy need to be lifted up in the clean and green economy. That needs to be a moral principle. And our Native American sisters and brothers who were pushed and bullied and mistreated and shoved into all the land we didn't want, where it was all hot and windy. Well, guess what? Renewable energy. Guess what? Solar industry. Guess what? Wind industry. They now own and control 80% of the renewable energy resources. No more broken treaties. No more broken treaties. Give them the wealth. Give them the wealth. Give them the dignity. Give them the respect that they deserve.
For us to be able to move electrons, clean energy electrons, from our clean energy power centers, say a desert where you've got a solar array up, or a place where you've got wind turbines. Well, those clean energy power centers tend to be very far away from our population centers. So if we're going to get all those clean energy electrons from our power centers to our population centers, we've got to have a bigger, better, smarter grid. And guess what? That grid won't put itself up. So we have $100 million to train workers to do that work. But that's just a part of the play. The other chunk of money, the Department of Education, is very committed to working through our community colleges and to make sure that all of the other academic supports are in place to train the workforce of the future. So
don't tell me words don't matter.
And climate change is a great example. When I was asked earlier about the issue of coal, under my plan of a cap and trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket. Even, regardless of what I say about whether coal is good or bad, because I'm capping greenhouse gases, coal-powered plants, natural gas, you name it, whatever the plants were, whatever the industry was, they would have to retrofit their operations. That will cost money. They will pass that money on to consumers.
Don't tell me words don't matter.
What I said is that we would put a cap and trade system in place that is as aggressive, if not more aggressive, than anybody else's out there. I was the first to call for 100% auction on the cap and trade system, which means that every unit of carbon or greenhouse gases was emitted would be charged to the polluter. That will create a market in which whatever technologies are out there that are being presented, whatever power plants that are being built, that they would have to meet the rigors of that market and the ratcheted down caps that are imposed every year. So if somebody wants to build a coal-powered plant, they can. It's just that it will bankrupt them because they're going to be charged a huge sum for all that greenhouse gas that's being emitted. We've got shovel-ready projects all across the country. To start helping states and local governments with shovel-ready projects.
We are seeing shovels hit the ground. Shovels are breaking ground and cranes dot the sky. There are almost 100 shovel-ready transportation projects. Shovels will soon be moving earth, and trucks will soon be pouring concrete. Don't tell me words don't matter.
I'm sure that when you implemented the Recovery Act, your staff briefed you on many of the challenges of the permitting process and the impact on putting Americans back to work. And that's exactly what we see in American business as well.
Shovel-ready was not as shovel-ready as we expected.
Okay, Van Jones, you talk about clean energy. What type of budget is needed for this, and what type of investments have already been made?
Gotcha. Well, one thing we want to keep in mind is that of the $787 billion in the recovery package, $80 billion is directed toward clean energy, energy efficiency, smart batteries, the grid, brownfield cleanup. So you're talking about an $80 billion investment.
Don't tell me words don't matter. Now, I know some people want me to bypass Congress and change the laws on my own. Believe me. And believe me, right now dealing with Congress, the idea but believe me, the idea of doing things on my own is very tempting. I promise you, not just on immigration reform. But that's not how our system works. That's not how our democracy functions. That's not how our Constitution is written. Don't tell me words don't matter. Good afternoon, everybody. This morning, Secretary Napolitano announced new actions my administration will take to mend our nation's immigration policy, to make it more fair, more efficient, and more just. Don't tell me words don't matter. We've improved on that discretion carefully and thoughtfully. Well, today we're improving it again. Effective immediately, the Department of Homeland Security is taking steps to lift the shadow of deportation from these young people. Over the next few months, eligible individuals who do not present a risk to national security or public safety will be able to request temporary relief from deportation proceedings and apply for work authorization.